Three visionaries, Dr. Nneka, Dr. Margaret Obilo, and Dr. Angela Ikeme, authors and pace-setters, came together and wrote a powerful and long-anticipated book, Voices of Triumph, Stories of African Women Immigrants in America. This book highlights African cultural heritage, the delicate balancing act of work-life expectations, especially for women navigating corporate America while upholding strong cultural roots.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for our 2026 episode of Voices of Triumph on the Road. We are delighted that you could join us today, and we hope your year has started on a positive note. We're coming to you live from the beautiful city of Morgan Hill, California, and we are thankful to our phenomenal sister for always welcoming us into her space for filming. Thank you, Sister Nelly. We really appreciate you and we love you. I am Dr. Nneka, and joined as always are my co-hosts and sisters.
Hello, I'm Dr. Ngozi Obilo, and Happy New Year.
Dr. Angela Ikeme here. Happy New Year and welcome back.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so today's episode is very special. We are honored to be joined by a visionary leader, a cultural curator, a global connector, and an educator. He's an award-winning film and theater producer and director with more than 50 productions to his credit. In 2021, he was inducted into the Silicon Valley Black Legends Hall of Fame for his distinguished career in arts and also for his enduring impact on Black communities. He's also a recipient of the Silicon Valley NAACP Freedom Fighter Award and the founding director of the Silicon Valley African Film Festival. Please join us in welcoming Ambassador Chike Nwoffiah to Voices of Triumph on the Road.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Oh my gosh.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Was that me?
Yes.
Right. Well, thanks.
Of
You're so kind.
course,
Thank
of
you. Thank you. It's
course.
good to be with you, and
Thank you.
really, truly honored. I'm one of your groupies. I watch everything you do online, and to be asked to be here is quite an honor. So
Thank you.
thanks for inviting me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're so glad you're here. So before we get started, I want to do a pulse check if we may, right? So since today is the 31st day of January, and usually people across the world come up with a New Year resolution or resolutions. And so let's do a quick check-in to see where you are if you have a New Year resolution or resolutions, as the case may be. We're going to start with you, Ambassador.
Oh, New Year resolutions have never been my thing, but actually, I do my New Year resolutions on my birthday because that's my New Year. That's the beginning of a new year for me, not the calendar thing. However, of course, every December 31st, January 1, for this year particularly, one of the things that I'm hoping I can do this year is to pour more time into me, find more me time. I am last year particularly. I was in 14 different countries, and I travel quite a lot. Working and doing other things with my business, and I'm hoping that this year that I can slow down a little more, get some more rest, and but maybe after this interview, my phone rings and it's all
It's all down the drain
it's down
from
the
there.
drain from there. But one thing I've also resolved is, I've resolved to not beat myself up if I don't keep to those, and life has to happen, and I just let it be.
Awesome. What about you, sisters?
I don't know. I kind of start out with having a list, right, of things that I'm going to do, like work out more, have more me time, and maybe eat less sugar and all of that kind of stuff. But then in the end, it doesn't always work out. But I am mindful this year as well to create a little bit more of that me time as well, and to eat healthy. So so far it's going good. I don't know how long it's gonna last, but it's working.
What about you, Dr. Angela?
Dr. Nick, I'm really surprised that you're asking about New Year's resolution because just like Chike, I don't do New Year's resolution. But since you put me on the spot, for my 2026, again, it's all about me. Over the years, I've worked so hard, but this year I said, okay, it's going to be me, and only me. I'm going to take time to take care of myself and my immediate family, and every other thing can be secondary. But so far, I think it's going so well.
Okay.
It's January.
Yes.
Ask me in June.
Oh my
That's a good
God,
one.
that's awesome. I wanted to ask because, this year I came up again with a New Year resolution
Okay, I
or
was gonna say,
resolution.
what's yours?
And I'm very intentional about what I eat now, to eat healthier. Oh my God. Even saying that sounds weird for me. But eating healthier.
So you're gonna eat more salad?
Yes.
Fruit.
Yes. And yeah.
There was food on this set that
Oh my
and
God.
somebody brought that particular food. The person that says they want to eat healthier.
But to my credit, today is the 31st day of January. I have not had soda. I have not had
Okay.
juice. I have not had wine. And I'm so
Okay.
proud of myself, although I feel like I'm going through
Okay.
withdrawal.
So
But
who is that Fanta for? Is that for me?
yeah, for somebody else, not for me.
Okay.
But listening to every one of us, what we know is that life is a journey, and we're gonna
Yeah.
take it one step at a time,
Yes.
one day at a time. So speaking of journey, oh my goodness, Ambassador, 17 years of the Silicon Valley African Film Festival.
Yes.
You have featured at least 100 movies from more than 40
Wow.
countries in Africa. What a remarkable accomplishment.
Yeah, and 100 is just for the year, not
Oh my
Wow.
God.
yeah, I mean, last year, remember, last year we screened 93 films just last year from 38 countries. So if you look at that over the course of 17 years, that will give you a sense of how many films that we've actually screened and how many countries we've represented. Yes.
Unbelievable. So walk us through your journey and the birth of the film festival.
Oh gosh. How many years do we have on this show to go through? But I would give you I would give you a Cliff Notes version
Okay.
of that journey. Of course, born raised in Nigeria. I'm proudly an Igbo man. Was born in Nigeria. I was born in Ibadan, and grew up. And then, of course, the Civil War happened, soon after my birth and all that. My parents had to head back to the east, and then in the end, I went to government college in here and all that, and then returned back to the western part of the country for undergraduate. Went to Unilag before coming out to Silicon Valley. To pursue further studies and work in the biotech companies here. Um, I've been privileged, I would say. Back in those days, coming here was not that difficult. I was actually flown here by the company and
Wow.
and all my papers and all that. But so while I was here, or when I arrived into the corporate Silicon Valley, I was doing corporate strategic planning for biotech company. But growing up, really, I grew up doing theater. From age 4, I can remember the very first play that I was the main principal character in it. And I can remember vividly how being on stage was just bliss to me, even at that early age. I knew that this was me, and everybody around me knew that instantly and supported that journey. So when I ended up going to government college, of course, one of the premier schools that we have, um, drama was very much a big part of the secondary school. We called it the Dramatic Society back then. And it was so revered. It was difficult to get into the Dramatic Society. You had to literally audition to be accepted. But when you are accepted, you are literally exempt from manual labor and all of that. That's how government college regarded, the Dramatic Society.
Wow.
There was one mission back then. We had old boys that would come back every year, including people like, Chinua Achebe, Nkemu Nwankwo, Ken Saro-Wiwa, Alex Ekweme. I mean, all the big Chukwuemeka Ike, they would come back. The main attraction or the marquee event was the Dramatic Society would put on a play for them. So we literally spent the entire year getting ready for that one big production. And that was how privileged we were, because, I mean, what are you going to do when Chinua Achebe is sitting, 10 feet away from you, watching you on stage? So it was very serious. And the drama masters had to be specially recruited, really, to come and work with us on all aspects of theater. And at age 10, age 11, one walked into those spaces and auditioned and was accepted, because I had already accumulated years and years of being on stage. So I had an easy audition, which was rare for first year student. I got I, I got to know that from my senior the senior
Of course,
students
yeah.
that couldn't
Naturally.
get it.
Naturally.
But it was great, and the government college prepared me for just what theater could be, the discipline of theater, all the technicalities of theater, and that was where I just excelled. I mean, in fact, even some people that have not seen me since my secondary school days, today, if you ask them whether they've seen me or heard about what the heck did that guy do, they will just tell you he's probably acting somewhere, because nobody else could envision me doing anything outside of the world of theater. But as you know, luckily for me, I still had, access, mentally and otherwise, to things like math and economics. I mean, those things came easy to me. So my father did advise me, actually, not that I wasn't the firstborn or the second or the third son. So he said, if you want to study drama, which is what I wanted to, go for it. But then he actually said, tomorrow's world is a business world. So even if you're going to do it, your brain is such that you can actually go study business if you want, and then you can always do theater, da. So I ended up going to pursue business in college and grad school, all of those things. But even while through I was doing all of that, people, even though I was studying business, people thought, even on the university campus, thought I was majoring in theater, because I was always in everything they were doing. Anyway, fast forward to Silicon Valley. When I came to Silicon Valley for the first time since I was 4 years old, I couldn't do theater. The corporate America said, nope, that double life stops here. We're going to eat you up. And so I was dying slowly. I was making a lot of money, but I couldn't do anything else other than work from sun up to sundown. After a bunch of years, I just knew I couldn't handle this anymore. I had to go find that first love and talk to my father. He said, I've been waiting. I don't know what's going on. So with his support and everything else, I began to find myself. I had to jump, left the corporate world, went into the creative industry, studied film, did all that stuff, theater, started a theater company, started producing doing all of those things, and never looked back. I've been happiest ever since. Wake up singing, doesn't feel like work, and yeah. So that's just the summary of all of that. And then it was in that space that this whole thought about also doing more than being on stage came about. I was an adjunct at one of the colleges, teaching African history, and I had already started, doing work in the film space, and I would bring African films to my classroom to animate curriculum for my students, and they were just being wowed with what they were seeing. These are college students that had an interesting perspective of what Africa was, what I call the Tarzan Africa. But here I was showing them films made by Africans, short films by Africans on the continent, just regular human beings. And it challenged the assumptions. And as we know, that's why I love your show and your book, The Voices of Triumph, about those of us that are immigrants and our stories in America and the misconceptions and the stereotypes and all of those. Because for far too long, our stories have been told by people that are removed from our realities. And so the colonized lens through which we are seen as Africans is very thick and heavy. And I countered that even in the classroom. And so when I did expose these young people to stories by Africans, they were just, it challenged them. Some of them resisted, argued about it. They challenged whether these films were actually shot in Africa. And so that immediately prompted me to take this into the community. And I curated a Saturday morning. I remember Saturday morning screening of some films, invited people to come watch films and engage in a conversation. And people came and began to say, when can we do it again? When can we do it again? And we did it again. And so from those 12 films on that half day, a morning on a Saturday, up until last year, where we curated, like I said, 90-something films from 30-something countries. That's the trajectory of the journey. And that's what gave birth to the film festival. We decided to give it a name, formalize it, create structure around it. I didn't set out to start a film festival. I set out to curate basically an event that will invite people to a different conversation about Africa. And it was the response that I got from that made me do it again and again and again. And after the second, third time, I said, we are onto something here. Let's create structure around it. Let's call it something. Let's really do it the way it ought to be. And so that's how the festival itself came about. And yeah, it's I'm just humbled, really.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
that's
Oh my
wonderful.
gosh, we
Yeah.
we enjoyed being there those
Yeah.
3 days last year, and smiling from cheek to cheek like little kids.
I
But
know.
anyway, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you so
so
much, Chike.
yeah,
Yeah.
thanks.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I know I was supposed to ask you about the Black History Month, but I'm going to segue into what what lays ahead for you, and what should your fans, supporters, and filmmakers be most excited about, since we are talking about the film festival
Yeah.
and how it all started. Watching you, listening to you, I kind of feel starstruck.
Yes, I
Sitting
know.
in this room with somebody like you who has done this so much, not just for Africans, for Africans, but the entire Black people across the globe. So thank you, but we need to know what your supporters and filmmakers should be excited, looking forward for
I
2026 and
know.
beyond.
I know.
Because
Well, thanks. I mean, I don't know about being starstruck. I'm starstruck with three doctors, three daughters and queens of Africa interview me about my humble life. So it's mutual, but I thank you for that, for those kind words. What should people look forward to? One thing that I tell my team members, and we've stayed true to it. We have this little, tagline. We say it's Africa through the African lens. And it is our stories, our voices on our own terms. And we've resisted any kind of distraction from that. What that means to us is that for a film to qualify even to be in our lineup, that film must have somebody of African descent in a creative decision-making role.
Wow.
And that means you got to be a director, producer, writer, somebody whose viewpoint is being projected. And we're very, very unapologetic about that. And what that means to us is The best filmmakers, the best Hollywood filmmakers can go to Africa and make a beautiful film, $1 million film, $100 million film about those Africans. But unless they have one of us in the creative decision making role, that so called most beautiful film by the most amazing filmmaker is not going to qualify to be in my festival.
Yes.
And we don't apologize for that.
Yeah.
And so, what they need to look for, what they need to look forward to as filmmakers is to come to our festival as a place where they get seen. Our festival is for them. What we're doing in the festival is creating what we call the global community of African storytellers. And when they come, the Nigerian filmmaker, the South African filmmaker gets to meet, interact with a sister, brother from Cuba, from Senegal, from Netherlands, Dutch Antilles, from everywhere, from Jamaica, Brazil, Haiti, all of that. And these are children of Africa, storytellers. We bring them together and they see each other. They hug, they understand, they connect, and 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 they're never the same. And that's what we are doing. And so, in terms of programming, of course, we'll screen films and all of that. But for us, it's more about the quality of the relationships that we're creating. We're trying to make sure that before we got on set, we are talking about this whole idea of Africa's children found all over the world. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to say to those African storytellers, whether you're Brazilian, Cuban, Nigerian, Kenyan, come together, see each other, and then go create magic. And so yeah, for us, we're not promising anything else other than come to a space where you are validated, come to a space where your stories matter, come to a place where you get to meet your cousins and leave knowing that you are never ever alone, and that together we can all be much more powerful. That's it. That's just the humble thing that we have.
Wow.
That's
Yeah,
powerful.
I know.
Together, we must all will be powerful.
Yeah.
And I say amen to that, because being at your film festival last year opened up my eyes, watching all those short clips and seeing people from across the globe, all these countries you have mentioned
know.
that I didn't even know had some Black people within them coming in, producing films for about people and telling a story. Makes me feel so much at home, and I'm looking forward to 2026.
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
I
Yeah.
know. And so, Ambassador, there was you talked about, your history and a lot of the work you've done. I do remember my children participating in one of the films, actually, as dancers and all of that. And that was during, I think, either the Juneteenth or one of, I think, maybe the Black History Month or something like that. So for you, you know, how do you see the Black History Month, and what does that mean for you?
Well, good. Yeah, I remember your kids.
Yes.
Of course.
Time flies.
I
Yeah, and
know.
the thing is, and that's, the respect I have for the three of you is way up there, because oftentimes, and that's why any day, any time, I'm here to support this journey that three of you are on, because it is so needed, and more of us have to come behind you to say we see you, we support you, and so to your question about Black History Month, gosh, it's such a deep thing for me, because and it's also a pain point, particularly insofar as our own communities, our own immigrant African communities are concerned, because whether it's a month, a week, I believe Black history, American history will not exist without Black history, the Black experience in America. You know, this country was built on the backs and the sweat, blood, tears of the enslaved Africans. And so the history of this country only happens because there were enslaved Africans that were brought over here to build it.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of the commemoration, I call it, or the consecration of that history within the context of what has become, it used to be Negro Week, and all of that expanded to Black History Month, which is all right. I know that there are controversies out there. Even some people within the Black expression are saying, no, I don't celebrate that. We shouldn't, because our history is not only confined to a month. But I see that as, let's assume you're a Christian and you go to church on Sunday. That doesn't mean that you are a Christian only on the Sunday.
Sundays.
You go to get a recharge, to consecrate, so to speak. And that's the way I personally view the February idea of Black history. Now, to dig into that, it's important for us, particularly as immigrant Africans, to understand the nature and the magnitude and the significance of this month that is called Black History Month. What do I mean by that? What I mean is this, that for some reason, some of us, a lot of us, distance ourselves from the so-called Black Americans, the African Americans. These are our historical diaspora. These are our cousins. Not all of them, but majority have ancestry that are rooted in the enslavement of Africans. And we come here and we feel that we have our own communities, as we should, because there are, nuggets of our experiences as recent immigrants, new Americans, so to speak, that doesn't, tally with the experiences of the historical diaspora. But we forget that we have a role and a responsibility. We would not be sitting here having this show, having these microphones, having all these beautiful lights on the set, if not for those same people, the historical diaspora, the African Americans that were killed, that marched, that fought, that did all this stuff to raise all of us up. So there's nothing. We come here, we go to school, we go to grad school, we get PhDs, we get triple whatever. We drive our beautiful cars, live in suburbs. None of that will happen. None, absolutely none, without the blood, sweat, tears of the African Americans that fought for it, died for it, continue to fight for it, continue to die for it. And so when legislation gets passed called Civil Rights, integration, and all of these things, then we come in and enjoy the benefits of that. And then we hide in our suburbs. When George Floyd gets killed, we are not out there marching because, it's the Black people thing. As if when you are in that vehicle driving, the cop hears your accent when they're following you. It doesn't happen. So we must, for me, as a matter of necessity, as a matter of the burden itself, and even, I would dare say, as a debt we owe to the blood, sweat, and tears of those that have died so that we can be here and walk around and call ourselves PhDs and all of that. We must be out there. We must put our bodies on the line. We must be hand in hand with our historical cousins and know that whatever pain that supposedly is inflicted on the Black community is inflicted on all of us. And we cannot just wash our hands and pretend like they belong to one community and we belong to a different community. That just gets me. Well, you can see I'm not passionate
I
about it.
can see, but you're right. You're right, because I had to educate my son the same way. That when the cop sees them out there, he's seeing them as a Black man, unless because he doesn't have an accent like I do. So he is a Black man out there, right? The cop doesn't distinguish. Oh, are you from which part of the country? They see him as an American Black man. So I hear your passion, and I really thank you for saying it again and helping us to spread the word across to other people.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
very important.
One of the things I've heard you say, when you talk about, we talk a lot about community, but then one of the things I hear you talk about is really telling the right story,
Yeah.
right? Because part of what we notice is that when stories are not told the way it's supposed to by the people who are supposed to tell the story, um, a, a a certain part of it is made up,
It's left
right?
out too.
Or left out,
Mhm.
right? And that influences how we interact with each other
Yep.
and how whether we come together or not. And so really telling that right story is very crucial in this journey. Speaking of story, oh my goodness. Okay. So we are excited
I
to
know.
share that you're working on a highly anticipated book, Beyond Diplomas, Decolonizing African Mind for Transformational Leadership. The topic itself, or rather the title of the book is, all I can say is wow. Okay. So congratulations
Yeah.
on this project, and it's coming at a perfect time. So I had the pleasure of reading an excerpt,
Oh
and
wow, already.
honestly, I
Ooh,
was instantly
okay.
captivated. Right. So we would love to give our audience an exclusive sneak peek into this remarkable
Yes.
project. But I want to start with, the preface on page 2, and I'm going to read that.
Oh
Oh.
wow.
Yes,
Okay,
I had to
Dr.
bring
Leka.
it out.
Yeah, you
I'm
are
just,
good, girl.
I am a product of those elite African secondary schools founded in the early 1900s and modeled after elite schools in England. At age 10, having scored highly in a very competitive entrance exam, I proudly walked through the majestic gates of the reputable all boys boarding school, where for 7 years we were given first class education. I thank the school for the academic rigor, discipline, and training I received. However, it is also true that this same school handed me something that most colonial schools gave Africa's promising youth during the most impressive years of their lives: the conviction that success could not coexist in the same mind with traditional African identity. We were punished for speaking our local languages anywhere on campus as they were bush and a sign of being uncultured. We bought into it, swallowed it, flaunted it, and for 7 years, and 7 years later, we inhabited it. We had unknowingly become vessels of the neo-colonial project. We could recite Shakespeare, Kipling, Chaucer, and Dickens, but could not form full sentences in our indigenous languages. I'm going to pause there because do you feel like it's your story too?
Yes.
But
Yes.
talk to us. Walk us through this piece.
Yeah.
Well, it says it all because, and it's still happening today. There is colonization after colonization. This book itself is it's a questioning. It's not a formula of any sort, and that's why I call it Beyond Diplomas. It is the decolonization of the African mind for what I call transformational leadership. I've been wrestling with this topic. I speak on it. I get invited to do keynotes and be on panels and all these things. And over the last number of years, as an educator, as a researcher, all those things. And I travel around the continent. I've been in the film industry as well, um, curating African films for 17 years running, hundreds every year. If you multiply that out, you know how many films that I get to even just see and curate. And I see us telling our stories as filmmakers, our storytellers, spending talent and all that, beautiful stories. But very often I look at these films and I see that the lens that the filmmakers are using to point at themselves and each other are colonized lenses. And those come from a colonized minds. And the root of it in all these years of research comes from what I look at as the education system that the colonizers built for us, made sure it worked, and then handed us independence, so to speak, flag political independence, but made sure that the institutions that were supposed to arrest our minds were in place and continue till today to be in place. And so, as I was narrating in the book, in the excerpt you just read, so at the most impressionable years of our lives, we get into these secondary schools, and we are told that the window to our identities, the thing that connects us to our ancestors, which is the language of expression, the window to the mind, is inferior to the colonizer's language. And you are even punished for it. So at age 10 and 11, your identity is demeaned, is shredded, is dismissed. And for 5 years or 7 years, as was my case, because I went through the advanced diploma education, you were, as I was saying the other day, you were cooked in the colonial soup, so to speak. And
We need to write that down.
Cooked in a
and
Cooked in
and at the end of your tenure, when that oven is opened and you are brought out fully baked and made, you are a bad fax copy of a colonizer. Your mind is gone. And we were made to believe that academic success, as I said in the excerpt you read, couldn't inhabit in the same space, couldn't occupy the same mind and body as an authentic African identity. That was not going to happen. That was not possible. That the way to be successful, the way to be elite, the way to be polished, however, whatever that meant, was to discard this one and take this one on. And if you reject the one that you are being given, then you were what? You are bush, uncultured. And that tradition still happens till today all over the African continent. And we wonder why we are not moving forward. Over 80% of Africa's leadership today were cooked in that colonial soup. And so when somebody becomes president, becomes the head of government or company, their brain is gone, their mind is gone. There is a sense, in spite of all the degrees, you have a sense of inferiority that you are not even aware of. Is the shadows of all of this stuff. You just believe that the only way you can be seen as successful is the extent to which you look like, think like, eat like, speak like, behave like, dress like a white person. That's what success means. And I talk to my students every time, even when I'm on the continent. I say, if we are having a seminar right now and a Chinese doctor or PhD physicist walks in, goes on the podium, and starts speaking very bad English, broken English, we will all still be wrapped in attention.
Yes.
But if a Nigerian goes up there and makes one grammatic error, we start laughing and checking out and say, this person doesn't even know what they're talking about. Because for us, their expertise is measured based on the extent to which they can have the command of the colonizer's language. What has happened to us is that colonial project was intentionally baked into our educational system. So that when they left, they didn't quite leave. They moved spaces from the physical space into the space of our minds. And that is the most dangerous, because that's what has held and continues to keep us captive. Why is it that the only way we can discuss success and progress is when we have equated ourselves or referenced ourselves to the colonizers' space. I'm going to make even our politicians say with their mouth, vote me in and I'll turn this into the London of Nigeria. And we don't know what we're saying.
Yeah.
For us to be proud of where we come from, we take pictures and say, look we are now the junior London. We are now the junior Dubai. That's success. That's the only way. Every reference point of success, of so-called progress, can only be validated if and only if we reference it based on a colonizer's identity. Oh my gosh, Onitsha is becoming the whatever of this.
Little London.
This place has become the Japan of Nigeria, has become the this of Kenya. Let Kenya, all of these things. Who said that? What we fail to understand, and I make that argument, is a 10-chapter book, and I said, let me deconstruct this. Let me just put all the things that have been disturbing me over these years. Let me see if I can articulate most of it, not all of it, on paper and share, and at least invite people to a different conversation.
Yeah.
Because we value, I call it beyond diplomas. We value education so much, which is great. And this book is not an attack on education or anything. But all I'm trying to say is that we must begin to rethink where we got our definitions. For us to have transformational leaders, decolonized leaders, we must begin to question everything. Ask ourselves, why is it if I sit on an airplane and I see another Igbo person coming to sit down and they throw Igbo kedo at me, for me to respond, somehow I have to look around? Instinctively, it's like as if that is inferior language. Who told us that? Why?
Yeah.
And that's not to say that we can purge ourselves of it. It's a self-reflection. That's why I told my story, that we must begin to sit with it, the uncomfortable truth, that no matter how elevated we think we are, conscious we think we are, that we all carry the shadows of colonialism and colonial thought.
Yeah.
But unless we sit with it, in that discomfort, and begin to slowly recognize it, first of all, and call it out and share with our own family and friends. It's a marathon, it's not a sprint. That we're always going to go all over the place and we still come back to the same thing, that we are inferior to
Talk about
the
a
colonizers.
philosopher.
You
These are such
you know?
a
sitting here and listening to you and seeing how passionate you are
I
about this,
know.
I am like, yes, speak. Because, when I came here newly, speaking about, us being colonized and, somebody who has a heavier accent standing up on a podium, speaking with their heavy accent, and everybody pays attention and understands it. I came in and somebody told me, oh, you have to go back to school and change your accent. I'm like, no, hell no.
Yeah.
If 80-year-old Japanese woman who has been here 60 years still speaks her language and we cater to her, I'm not going to change my language. I'm going to be like her when I grow old. And my co-workers were like, what? Angela, what did you say? I said, yes, you heard me right.
Yeah.
I'm not changing my accent. And we talked about it in this book.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
People changing their names,
Yep.
changing your whole identity. So you are just scratching the surface.
Yep.
So I guess we just scratched the surface in this book.
Yes,
And now
we
you are
did.
digging way deep. And I think it's that uncomfortable conversation that we have to have.
Yes.
Because our children, especially, talking about our children here, go back to Nigeria.
Yes, it's
A
worse.
child in the village can't even speak the native Igbo language.
Yep. Yep.
And you're like, I go home and speaking to them in Igbo, they're responding to me in English. I'm like,
Yes.
am I in a different planet?
Yep. It is that.
So
Yeah.
Yep.
I
There's
hear
that.
the passion.
Yeah.
And I
Yes.
think we all need to start forcefully talking about it. For those who
Yes.
are changing their names, the accent, the food, we are talking about whole food earlier today.
Yes.
So the authenticity of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's not only, when it's convenient,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but at all times, if
Yeah.
we really going to scratch the
Yeah,
surface.
we need to challenge the educational
Yes.
Yes,
infrastructure,
we do.
and make sure, because I think it is a monumental task.
Yes.
But we have to start somewhere.
Mhm.
We have to start from our own families, from ourselves.
Yes.
Like I said, this book is a questioning, is a sitting at the mirror myself and say, yes, I'm passionate about this stuff. What parts of me have I not, reconciled with all of these questions
I
that I
hope you
pose? Yeah.
mentioned in your book about also taking a language class.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
that's the other piece,
Mhm.
Right.
right? The 3/4 of the people can speak Igbo, but they don't know how to write it or read it,
Yes.
right? Because that class is made as an elective.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we're all taking French and taking Spanish and all the others, but not taking Igbo language as a
Yeah.
class.
Yeah, and for me, what I did with the book is not prescriptive. Actually,
Okay.
what I did was to raise all this
Yeah,
bunch of
awareness.
questions,
Right.
Yes.
and also challenge us to go and look at it based on where we are, what
Yes.
areas, how can we begin this project of
Great.
decolonization,
Yeah.
because it permeates everything. We have not even talked about religion. We've not talked about our ceremonies.
Yes.
You cannot have an Igbo wedding or marriage or whatever we call it, and then we have to have the real wedding. And that's a whole different conversation. So it permeates everything.
Yeah.
Oh my
What the
God.
colonial project did was not even to dismiss, it didn't stop at dismissing us in terms of our practices. It actually reclassified, and I talk about that in this book. It reclassified us.
Yeah.
It reclassified our philosophies as mythology. It reclassified as our sciences as what? It reclassified our sciences as fictitious. It reclassified a lot of stuff that we do. Our memory, it reclassified as folk tales. It reclassified everything. And the import of that was it took the African indigenous knowledge systems out of the center of knowledge and put it on the periphery. Because now our sciences have become mythology. Now our philosophies, all the things that grounded our societies, are no longer at the heart of learning. Pedagogy, I'm not talking about all of that. These things have been moved, ours have been moved to the periphery,
Yeah.
replaced with the so-called authentic. Meanwhile, they will take these our own, reclassify them, repackage them, and bring it back as if they created them. How is it? We're talking about knowledge systems that when the colonizers' countries were still in the caves, we had created pharmacology and astronomy and we had functioning systems, sophisticated systems. The
Calendar.
Igbo
they had a calendar.
systems of rulership were the first democratic signs of republicanism, representative governance.
Yes.
The things, talk about Waboy and the Igbo mentorship apprenticeship programs that are now being studied in the so-called Ivy League universities all over the world. We created these things. The Igbo credit union systems,
Yes.
before they gave a name, call it credit union, and come back to teach us finance and all that. But, they've reclassified our stuff, pushed them to the side, now came back with the same things, dressed them in colonizers' language, and told us to go sit and learn. you know? And so we must understand, first of all, what it is that we are dealing with, figure it out wherever it touches us. My book, which is coming out in a few months, is not, again, it's not a prescription. It's just me questioning everything, throwing everything up in the air and saying, come take a look and see where the shoe fits, and do with it what you may. Some people, and I say, I think in my introductory, I say, if these pages have made you uncomfortable, then it's done its job. It's for us to begin to really ask ourselves the real questions. It's very painful to sit with young people in Sierra Leone, in the Gambia, and Malawi, Uganda, all the places I go to, and I see them just looking for an opportunity to go to the so-called colonizers' country. Education for us, success, diplomas, is now defined based on the extent to which you escape that which is yours. It's the extent to which you are distanced from the thing that is supposed to be yours. Then you are seen as having made it. That's how we calculate now the success of the diplomas, and that has to stop. We are, and I say this, I tell the young people I deal with, particularly on the African continent, said, you got to walk with your back straight and tall and proud, because we are the original landlords of this planet. Everybody else is renting it from us. We are the original landlords of this planet. And but to walk around as if we are squatters was an intentional project that is now residing in our minds, and we need to figure out how to get back to being landlords again, mentally and otherwise. Even in Igbo, we have a saying, "Beke wawara." Have you unpacked what that means? So I mean, you can go on and on and on and understand what it is that we are dealing with here. It is big stuff, but we must need to call it out.
Absolutely, absolutely, and
Yeah.
so this movement that we've started, and we're grateful to you, and folks like yourself who have paved the way for us to continue this intentional work. 'Cause we have to be intentional about it. We have to lead with our identity. We
Yes.
were great when we were born.
Yes.
We didn't become great because now we've acquired whatever it is we think we've acquired, but we were born great. And
Great.
so really calling it out. And in medicine, we talk about if you don't have the right diagnosis, then you don't have the right treatment. So we have to diagnose the problem. And this is what your book is doing. But I really, I want to take you to page 6, this
She-
paragraph, Africa's future will not be secured by producing more graduates alone. It will be secured by forming leaders who understand that education is not an escape from responsibility, but an entry into deeper obligation. This book is not an argument against education. It is a demand that we stop worshiping it uncritically. It is a call to recover what education was meant to support, not replace: judgment, character, and service. The diploma should open a door, not close a conversation. To move Africa forward, we must begin asking different questions of our education systems, our institutions, and ourselves. Not just what did you study, but who do you serve? Not just where were you trained, but what are you willing to build? The journey ahead does not abandon learning, it deepens it, and it begins deliberately and courageously beyond diplomas. This is powerful and deeply inspiring. It's a call to action. Can you shed a light, on this paragraph?
Well, it's the thing we've been talking about,
Yeah.
basically about, again and again, I sometimes try to almost not repeat but rehash. As I end each chapter, I come back to this thing
The
about
topic,
beyond
yeah.
diplomas
Okay.
intentionally. So weaving it in different ways. That again, it's not about fighting education, but it's about learning, taking it in on our own terms. It's not we cannot. It's not about adopting. It's about adapting. It is the intentional interpretation of knowledge, not at the expense of that which is ours. It's receiving on our own terms. Even with my film festival, I said earlier on, it's creating a space. It's African storytellers, African stories through African voices on our own terms. And that applies to what it is, the thesis of this thing in terms of education. What I'm saying there is we must, we are the smartest people on the planet, for God's sake. So when they say learn ABC, learn ABCD to Z, that's fine, get it all, which we do anyway. Go to
Right.
all the schools in the world, we are excelling beyond anything. But at what cost? Whilst we are doing that, we must then say, what have we become? We must ask ourselves, what have we become? Have we become people that recite the degrees behind our names, speak the colonizer's language to perfection, speak multiple of those, but have we lost something? And if so, what is it? And what each and every one of us may have lost may not be exactly the same. It may be similar. The extent and the quality and the magnitude of what we all on different journeys. All fingers are not equal. But I want this book to help people sit with this question long enough and let them be uncomfortable with it and say, I have all this education, I have all this money in the bank, I live in a suburb, I do all of this stuff. What have I become? What did it cost? And there's no one that can sit here and tell me it didn't cost something. And so it is taking an inventory of what that has cost. And then begin to ask yourself, how can I course correct? It may never come full circle in my lifetime, but how can I begin to lay this foundation? And it is not even about physically being on the continent, because we may never physically go back. And we're having children overseas, which is great. Africa is expressed wherever you are. And even for our children, they may not even speak your native language. Let's not beat ourselves up about that. Because I've gone to Jamaica, I've gone to Brazil, I've seen more people that are more Africans in these spaces than those of us like you were talking about. We all experience. You go back home, our children are not even speaking the thing, the so-called languages. So it's a mental thing. So don't beat yourselves up if your children are not able to speak your mother tongue. Yes, if they can, great. Do what you can to get them, tutored or whatever. At least let them be able to say one or two words or whatever that is. But I'm more concerned about the mind. I'm more concerned about their understanding of their Africanness, their understanding that they don't have to dumb it down, be ashamed of it in order to get by.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So when can readers expect this book to become available? And is there an opportunity to pre-order?
Good question. It's with the editors now, and we're talking with the publishers, and the timetable is that by June of this year it should be out, and if all goes well, and if we get a financial support from people like you and stuff. No, I'm just kidding. But anyways, but yeah, we're wrapping it up, and it's definitely ready to go. The manuscript which you are reading from is good to go. I just have to stop myself from the perfectionist thing where I'm calling my editor saying, oh my gosh, there's this sentence I need to change. I need to add this. When you are authors, you know how that is. And so at a point, my editor said, you know what, Chike, publish this book, start writing the second one. I'm not putting any more into this one. Don't call me again. So if only I can stop myself, I think we now move towards sprint and all that.
Aw.
But June 2026 is the target. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you heard from the man.
Yeah.
Be on the lookout for this amazing book. It is transformational. It may make you uncomfortable, as he already pointed out, but that we need to get comfortable being uncomfortable. So thank you for taking us through this particular journey. And like I said before, it is definitely coming at the right time, and it aligns with the work that we're doing. We are proud of who we are, and we need to continue to be proud of who we are. We need to lead with who we are. So when I introduce myself and I say I am Neka, Neka means Mother is Supreme, and it makes me so proud,
Yes.
to show up in any space acknowledging that I am a daughter of Africa, and we all need to celebrate that and enjoy being one of those keeper.
Yes. Thank you. It's been really, I mean, I'm like waiting for more. So thank you so much for coming out to join us today. And I just want to also use the opportunity to announce the very special event coming up. So we, the Root and Rise, are going to be having one of the inaugural and flagship conference that is coming up in October 9th. And we're going to be partnering with Silicon Valley Film Festival. So you're going to be getting 2 for 1. So really exciting conference coming up. And we are going to give you more information as we go along. So stay tuned. It's going to be the most very big conference because we're going to be having folks from your film festival places, on leadership, and it's going to be very, very powerful. So stay tuned. We will keep you informed as we talk a little bit more and get prepared for the conference.
Okay, so Ambassador Chike, I will sit here and listen to you all day long. I'll be a great student for you, listening how passionate you are about Africa and Blackness. And I can't wait to read your book as soon as it hits the shelf. And thank you for all the work you're doing. We're really, really very, very proud to have a true son of Africa like you.
I know.
So going back to our upcoming conference, what can I say about it?
I know. It's going to be
We are
wonderful.
so excited. And again, thanks to you for being there for us and supporting us and making this work, this journey become a journey that all of us need to embark on. Whether you are watching or reading the book or hearing it from any other space, this conference is something I think you need to put on your list. And we're also calling for sponsors. If you wish to sponsor us, there are so many ways you can support us through sponsorship. It is just like Dr. Ngozi said, it's a Roots and Rise Synergy Conference. We are going to talk about most of the things we are talking about here, bringing leaders from across the globe to come and share their journeys and experiences and how to move to the next level. So please contact us and let us know how you're going to support us on this journey. We truly appreciate that.
And join us,
Yes.
on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Thank you.
Awesome. So there you have it. We have come to the end of the show. Ambassador, again, I join my voice with the voices of my sisters to say thank you. Thank you for coaching us, mentoring us, and being our support. We truly appreciate you. And so from all of us here, thank you so much and have a wonderful day. Until we meet again, we are the Voices of Triumph. Ndewo.
Ndewo.
Listen.
Voices echo, an echo of triumph, a spirit aglow.